Hey guys, Omni here. We got some Mortal Kombat news that came out here exclusively from Entertainment Weekly. We got a full article kind of talking about a little bit of the idea behind this R-rated reboot, some of the things that's going into, some of the characters we're going to see, as well as some high quality exclusive first look photos of some of the characters. So I wanted to go over this with you guys because we talked about it a little bit before. It's been a while since we've heard anything about this. The last thing we remotely heard that was related to this was that the title card popped up whenever Warner Brothers sent out that list of all the movies in 2021 that they were going to release to streaming. So I don't know if that's still going to be the case. Maybe I'll talk about it in this article, but we also had a video even farther back talking about all the casting news surrounding this movie. Of course, the R-rated direction, the incorporation of fatalities, a lot of the stuff it seems to be this article is going to be going into. So we're going to be talking about some of that stuff here again. But as far as the casting, I thought that they were going very martial arts heavy forward going into this. And that was a good approach to kind of get off with the right foot for me. But like, I actually really enjoy the first Mortal Kombat film for what it is. I think out of all the video game movies, say for maybe Detective Pikachu, it's probably the best video game movie, even for its cheesy factor, even for its PG-13 factor. I think that's probably the closest we've got to as far as video game movies go. So let's go ahead and kind of go into this article. Now, I've seen some of the images already, thanks to social media and a couple things. I've skimmed some pieces of this, and I thought it'd be a fun thing to share with you guys, get your all's thoughts on. And then see what all exactly is in here. So I'm going to switch this up and we are going to go through this. So Mortal Kombat first look inside the rated R reboot, fatalities and all. Time to fight. Director Simon McQuoid promises blood, gore, and for the first time, fatalities. Well, first time in a live action film. If you haven't, I have a review for it, but the recent Warner Brothers animation, Mortal Kombat Legends, Scorpion's Revenge. If you want some bloody action, check that thing out. That was a surprising, fun ride to go on. That's go give that a watch. When you think of Mortal Kombat, you think of blood, buckets of it. That's the kind of gruesome splatter that comes from Kali Mak Shakti Di, an opponent in a savage fight to death. But blood, as director Simon McQuoid thought of it for the upcoming video game inspired movie reboot, has many meanings. Blood represents family, he tells EW. Blood represents a connection. Blood represents who we are. Without getting too overcomplicated, what we did is use blood executionally, and it starts following right from the get-go. If this new take on Mortal Kombat revealed in EW's exclusive first look photos is a blood universe, then McQuoid says the kunai blade lies at its center, the signature weapon of fan favorite game character Hanzo Hasashi, aka Scorpion, played by the Wolverine and the Twilight Samurai star Hiroyuki Sanada, which I'm really excited for because he's a really fantastic actor and martial artist. We did a bit of research, and the kunai is actually an ancient Japanese gardening tool, the director explains, which, yeah, if you're any level of weeb, you know that. And then, of course, you know, anime has kind of popularized it as a weapon, of course, as well as maybe some ties into actual ninja back in the day. But I digress. So one of the earliest shots in the movie is the kunai blade being used as a gardening tool by Hanzo's wife. Mortal Kombat, produced by Todd Garner and Aquaman's James Wan, begins with a crucial piece of lore from the original games, the blood feud between the clans of Hanzo and Bi-Han, who is being played by the Warriors' Joe Taslim. The 10-minute opening sequence kicks off in feudal Japan long before these fighters wielded supernatural abilities as Scorpion and Sub-Zero, and it ends in a pretty nasty hand-to-hand combat between the two. McQuoid says, it's why the first-time feature film casts Sanada and Taslim, two actors known for their martial arts prowess. Hanzo, the leader of the ninja clan, and he is strong. But also, at the beginning, he's a peaceful family man, Sanada says. It is like a family drama with excitingly brutal fighting, and that's the image of this movie for me, he adds. So the story of those two is clear and iconic. Again, if you go check out that movie that I recommended at the beginning, Scorpion's Revenge, starts off much the same way. And we get a little clip of the confrontation between the two, this high-res image of Hasashi being stabbed with this kunai by, of course, Bihan, who is the first Sub-Zero, the older brother from the first tournament. Mortal Kombat, I'm sorry, actually, I lost my spot. The story of Bihan and Hanzo needed to be told within the fight, McQuoid said. There are some great camera moves to give it a bit of dynamicism. Is that a word? Dynamicism? It's what he said. Anyway, it's in quotes. That makes it real enjoyable. We needed it to be really elemental, really brutal. It's not a shiny film. I wanted the dirt and the grime to come through. And I think you really kind of see that in these images. The brutality carries over into the present, where we meet Cole Young, a wholly new character to the Mortal Kombat world, played by actor and martial artist Louis Tan from Wu Assassins into the Badlands. Someone who prides himself on performing his own stunts despite the aches and pains that come along the way from training. So this is something I saw when looking into this, and it's one of the things I wanted to talk about in this. This is already the only thing that I've heard so far about this entire project that I'm a little iffy about, and that is this inclusion of a wholly new character to the Mortal Kombat lore and universe. And from the way they're framing it, he's going to be our into the universe of Mortal Kombat. And then it takes it back to me for a second. It's like, well, why aren't we just following Liu Kang, who has always been the central figure of the storylines for the most part? So I don't know. It could work. I'm not going to crap on it because everything else sounds amazing and they could pull this off. And it's just the only thing that I'm like, okay, are we sure? Are we sure we should be doing that? But we'll see. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. When we first meet Cole, he's in a really bad spot, Tan says. He's down on his luck. He's a kind of washed up MMA fighter who used to be a champion, who used to believe in himself and used to have a lot of hope in his career. And it's all gone down the drain. It's a very interesting place for a hero to start. And I think that along with the journey of Mortal Kombat and Cole discovering where he comes from, you're introduced to all these other iconic characters and elements that everybody loves so dearly. So the whole washed up fighter thing kind of gives me a vibe of Johnny Cage, the washed up martial arts actor who a lot of people didn't believe was actually good at martial arts. They thought he was just a performer who could look like he did the moves. That's why everyone was so surprised and so like he was kind of the underdog because nobody actually believed he was a good fighter. And it kind of gives me this kind of vibe that maybe he's filling that void because Johnny Cage, from what I've seen and from what we've talked about previously in the cast list, I don't think they have a Johnny Cage. And maybe this might be the reason. Let's go on. Cole knows nothing about his heritage aside from the mysterious birthmark on his chest in the shape of the Mortal Kombat symbol. Tan remains mum on how this birthmark connects to the character's origins, but agrees it's a unique symbol that will eventually tie into the journey that he's going on. It remains the only clue Cole has when the sinister sorcerer and emperor of the realm of Outworld, Tsung, who's played by Skyscraper's Chin Han, sends Sub-Zero, now with his cryomancy powers, to hunt him down. And we got a little image of that here, which looks really nice. I love the cowl. I love the hood. You get a little sense of the detailing of the mask. You can see the frostbitten fingers on his hands here, and this ice looks lovely. Again, a little minor concern here. Shang Tsung, not the Emperor of Outworld. That's Shao Kahn. Maybe a slip of the words. That's not in quotes, so maybe that's something the writer of this article maybe got wrong. That's a minor thing. I mean, if you don't want to include Shao Kahn, that's one thing, but if Shang Tsung is both the sorcerer and Emperor of Outworld, I'm curious what direction that whole thing is going to go. Obviously, they're not playing to the stereotypical lore of everything going on that we know, and they're going to be kind of doing their own thing. And as long as they do it well, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt and take me on a ride that maybe I didn't know I wanted. So, continuing on, Major Jackson Jax Briggs, played by Supergirl's Mehcad Brooks, who is a built dude. I I've watched Supergirl, and he is a stacked guy, man. So he's going to at least have that physicality. A special forces major who bears the same mark as Cole urges him to seek out Sonya Blade, who is played by the Meg's Jessica McNamee. She ferries him onward to the next leg of the journey to the thunderous elder god known as Lord Raiden, which is still Raiden, but we'll stick with the game's pronunciation. Played by Thor's Tadanobu Asano, who grants sanctuary at his temple to all those with the mark. Okay, so I guess maybe the mark itself is maybe like how people born with this birthmark are the ones who will be destined to participate in the tournament. Maybe like fate or the elder gods themselves. And also, I need to go back to that. They said elder god known as Lord Raiden. Raiden, as far as I can recall, isn't initially an elder god. Anyway, I'm just nitpicking here. Again, that wasn't in quotes. That's just, again, the writer kind of going out there. Maybe it's, I don't know. We'll go with it. I'll give, again, benefit of the doubt. So grants sanctuary at his temple for all those with the mark. There, Cole encounters even more recognizable characters from the Mortal Kombat games. Liu Kang, who's played by Power Rangers Ludi Lin. Kung Lao, played by stuntman and actor Max Huang, as well as Kano, played by Superstore's Josh Lawson, as they all train for a high-stakes tournament to defeat the invading enemies from Outworld. And here's a little image of Jax catching what looks like to be a large stone hammer. Arms look great. Mehcad has a nice little stash going on here, and at first glance, I was like, if you're just squinting and you're looking at this and you're not like paying attention of it, I was like, wait, is that Steve Harvey? Oh, just with the stash, man. Tan is familiar with the idea of legacy. His father, Philip Tan, a national champion martial artist, began his film career on Tim Burton's Batman, and he progressed to fight choreography, stunt coordinator, and second unit director. Tan has fond memories of rolling around the stunt mats on the movie sets as a kid. Mortal Kombat now marks the actor's first leading role in a high-profile feature from the studio that launched his father's career. Tan also realizes the legacy of the original games. I've been playing the game since I was a kid, he says. For lack of a better way to describe it, you don't want to mess it up because it's so iconic. You want to bring something new to the table that people haven't seen before, but at the same time, really respect and pay homage to the legendary worlds that were already created. Which I respect. Bring something new, make it work, and, I could care less if it syncs up, if the story's good, the characters are good, the combat itself is good. Cole is certainly something fans haven't seen before, while many gamers can call out the unique fighting moves of familiar names like the daggers of Mileena, played by actress Sisi Stringer, and Tan used his own experience to develop a fresh style for Cole. He pulled from UFC fighter George Masvidal for his salt of the earth grit, while also tapping into Muay Thai, Judo, Jiu-Jitsu, and MMA roots. I wanted to make sure that everyone respected the material and the lore of Mortal Kombat, the fans, and I wanted to make sure that everyone respected the material, the lore of Mortal Kombat, the fans, and the love they have for this. Everyone was clear on it. McQuoid says that developing the reboot, respect for the material, also meant leaning into what makes Mortal Kombat so popular after all these years. Blood has a lot to do with that. As a joke, McQuoid told a stunt coordinator, Kyle Gardner, to craft the best fight sequences ever done in a movie ever. In reality, these action pieces are some of the highest rated elements of the movie to come out of early test screenings, according to McQuoid and Tan. We need to be smart about how we go about the fights, the director notes, and there are times you'll see when you see the movie when it's just, fuck it, let's have some fun. McQuoid is still editing the film, but he already knows it's definitely not going to be getting a PG-13 rating. Out of context, this quote might seem incendiary. It's not. The rules around ratings aren't what a lot of people think they are, he says. It's amount of blood, it's amount of red, it's interpretation of how you go about it. We had a lot of discussions about getting the balance right. So there was gore, and then there was blood, and there were fatalities. He pauses to repeat what he said, and there is gore, blood, and fatalities. Fatalities, as in the dramatic finishing moves from the games that often involve severing opponents completely in half or ripping out someone's spine, will be realized for the first time in a Mortal Kombat movie. There are some crazy fatalities, Ton confirms. We've picked a couple of iconic ones. There's a lot of really cool signature moves that you'll see and a lot of Easter eggs that we snuck into the film. But there are some really badass fatalities that I can't wait to see on the big screen. They're brutal, man. They don't hold back. At the same time, McQuoid didn't want to get it in NC-17 territory. He notes, it's amazing how quickly you could get there. It doesn't take much, at least not for Mortal Kombat movie. This film is scheduled for a simultaneous release in theaters and HBO Max, April 16th. So they are going to move forward with the Wonder Woman technique there. So not too far down the road, 3 months away, and we'll be checking this out. Dude, I cannot wait. Also, I scrolled past these because I just kept reading. Here's an image of Sonya coming down on Kano here, and then a good little look at Kano himself. He doesn't have the metallic implant, though you can see the red glow of his eye. I know some people might be a little not happy about that. We got like a Zuko-like scar going on here in its place. Or maybe something will happen to that face. Maybe during the fight, something tears off that flesh to reveal the metal plate. Now that would be badass. I love these games. You know, whether it was smart or not, maybe it was the misconception at the time that video games were just games for kids. One of the very first video games I ever owned and played a lot was Mortal Kombat 2 on the Sega Genesis. Say what you will, I had that game, played the crap out of it. There was blood and fatalities all over the place, and I got them all, executed it all, and it like lived in that world for so long. I love those games. Got 3 Ultimate, 4, every one since then. Played the first one on arcades back in the day. And for whatever reason, when the original Mortal Kombat film came out and was in theaters, I wasn't allowed to go see it because it was too violent, but had no problems with me owning every single one of those games. It'd be different if it was the Super Nintendo versions, which they censored, but it wasn't. It was the Sega ones, and there was blood everywhere. I saw Jurassic Park in theaters, which was more violent and visceral than the actual Mortal Kombat movie that we got originally. So it's going to be a really interesting change of pace to see this one, see how this one plays off, and how we go from there with this. And I don't know. Like I said, there's some minor things that have me a little concerned, but from the looks that we have, the images, the quality, the attention to detail, and the apparent love that seems to be presented to the things that make Mortal Kombat really stand out, seem to be the things that these guys are all really focused on. So even if Shang Tsung is for whatever reason the Emperor of Outworld, I'll take it. If Liu Kang's not our main character and it's this OC new character, Cole, and he's a good developed character and he kicks some ass and all the other characters are still well represented and also kick some ass, I won't care. So guys, sound off in the comments. I want to know your all's thoughts on all of this. So let me know your opinions, your theories, your speculations. Are you kind of concerned about some of these things? Are you not as concerned? Let's have that conversation after the video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.